Welcome to Oregon Voters Digest, the program that brings forward the social and political issues that are important to people living here in the Pacific Northwest. And now, your host, Bruce Broussard.
Again, welcome to this segment of the Oregon Voters Digest. I'm Bruce Broussard, your host, and I've got three other hosts here, co-hosts here, whatever. In all due respect, as you note, there are all sorts of commentators here in the Portland metropolitan areas. There's Your Voice, Your Vote with Steve Dunn, and there are all sorts of commentary about issues and whatever, trying to educate the public like you. We're community television, and so in all due respect, as far as I'm concerned, I do this at least once or twice a month, depending upon what the issues are. And the idea is to give you a little update about what's going on within our city, the city of Portland, and maybe a comment or two about the national issues. But I'm more interested in the benefits of Portland, Oregon. Portland, Oregon, and I got the same foursome right here. We got a foursome here, right? You got me? And you okay? And so here we are. Got Teresa. How you doing, T?
I'm good. How are you, Bruce?
Don, how you doing?
I'm ready to do it.
All right.
No, I'm fine.
Fred, you doing fine?
I'm fine.
And then we've got a guest with us today.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. We got a guest. Come on over here for a minute. Come on over here. We want you to say hi to us. This is our guest today.
This is
Come on
Heaven.
over. This is our guest today. Okay. Well, step over there by Grandpa now for a minute, since I got the first hug.
This is Heaven Dupay. This is Dawn's little granddaughter.
There's a granddaughter
She's
there.
9.
How about that?
And she's a really good artist.
How about
She's
that?
a
How about
wonderful
that? And she's beautiful too.
Yeah, she is.
She's lovely. Okay. Well, we got a guest today. She's going to be listening to what we're talking about. We're going to be nice too today, right, folks? We're going to be really nice. Okay. And what's that name again? Why don't you tell us your name? Share with the company, the group here.
My name's Heaven.
Now come over here and say Heaven. Now say it again, Heaven.
Heaven.
Heaven. All right. You going to school right now?
Summer vacation.
You on vacation right now?
Yeah.
Okay. What grade are you in?
I'm going to 3rd grade.
3rd grade. Wow. What do you want to be when you grow up?
A dog trainer.
A dog trainer. Awesome.
A dog whisperer?
Oh, I like that one. I like
You
that.
want to be a dog
She
whisperer?
loves dogs.
Oh, that's
Loves
neat.
dogs.
Wants to
Okay.
be a
All
dog
right.
trainer.
What kind of dog do you want to train?
All right. Now there you have it. There she is.
A big dog or little dog?
And you heard that, did you, Grandpa?
Yeah, I got
She
it.
got to go to school, so pick up the money.
Yeah.
Get the money.
I'm doing
Okay,
my
good.
best.
She's looking great. Well, folks, as you know, that is the future. I had to do that. I mean, she's here in the audience with us, and I think that's very important. And the stuff that we did was on a daily basis. That's part and parcel of what we have to confront with doing our here, as far as being responsible citizens, right?
Yes.
And so what we're going to do, folks, today is that there were some pretty major issues that were out here last week, and all of these folks are very adept to that. They're good Facebook users. You know, I know that too, because I'm on that too and all that. And you know, when you start thinking about Facebook, I use Facebook from the standpoint of posting and sharing.
Right.
I like to see that, because that's basically what I do. Because you can't really deal with all the subjects at one point in time. And these folks have their own posting and sharing, but they respond more. But my point is that, but they still have their arena, because we're all creatures of our exposure.
Yeah, nobody ever responds to my Facebook.
But
Never.
no, only you.
Yeah, I never get anybody.
Oh, you got
Fred,
the most
give me.
active
Oh,
Facebook.
Fred, you got the most active Fred.
Yeah.
Facebook. I don't know why is that so. Do you have an idea?
Because he's got so many friends and he knows everybody in town.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's what
That's
it
why
is.
he's on the show.
No, I just want people to think.
You want them to think?
I try not to be
I understand.
judgmental.
Yes.
Because I think a lot of times on social media, people are judgmental.
Yes.
And it's a great
Oh,
soapbox. You know, what I'm very blessed at is I got so many people who trust me enough, comfortable enough, to share me their opinion.
Yeah.
Even if they know. I mean,
Yeah.
people are typing and knowing, Fred's not going to agree with me on this, but I'm going to tell him this because he needs to know.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I've actually had white people tell me they've learned how racist they were by reading what other white people say.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had black people say, you know, it's got to be a little bit complicated if you're white and not racist. Because racism, I mean, you do racist things and not even know it.
Yeah.
Right.
Because one of my buddies on there, old guy I was in the Marines with, he says, it's amazing how many white people don't know this particular thing is racist.
Yeah.
And I said, well, they're not around that many black people. And the black people they are around, let's say they are around one or two, they understand it and let it pass. Then they go and get in a group full of, black people. It's different. You know what I mean?
But then at the end of the day, it's all about the individual.
It's all about the individual.
And your exposure.
And your exposure.
Your respect to exposure. And then folks need to understand that, because a lot of times you see people get really upset on Facebook.
Yeah.
You don't get upset. Share your opinion. If you see an opinion, respond with it from your standpoint of opinion. And from that point, you could learn something.
Yeah.
And in some cases, the other person learns something too. So really, that's what Facebook is all about. Unfortunately, we just didn't. I think we got these young folks that put that piece of the technology out there. Young folks, right? You got me. And I think my point is that, and they also have a group of folks that are they're assigned Facebook folks, right? They're assigned folks. But I think about how many senior citizens are sitting around that table.
Quite a few on my Facebook.
Yeah.
I got quite a few posts on my Facebook.
No. I'm talking about on Facebook, the Facebook staff. You just got a bunch of young folks that are sitting there.
Probably.
They need
The
to
workers.
have they just got the workers there.
Yeah.
They need to have a few more wisdom kind of folks that'll sit there and then kind of respond. Because a lot of my Facebook folks, and I've got a lot of folks that knew me just like you, they just gotten off, but they're just followers. I still keep them there.
Yeah.
But every so often they're so prone that they got to say something, whatever. So I'm just sharing with you all that if you are utilizing Facebook and you just want to do one friend or two friends, but you want to follow folks, you got to understand, don't get all excited, don't get all upset. These are just opinions. If you want to respond as an opinion, do it that way.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell a lot of my friends. I say, guys,
we
this
do
is
really get that
Facebook.
point. Yeah.
You know, I loved you before there was a Facebook.
Yeah.
Well,
But, you know,
there's this other thing.
You don't
that
let anything on
happens.
Facebook get in the way of a friendship.
There's this other thing that happens on Facebook, and it happens a lot. Is people just they let their inner anger come out, and I mean, I've done it myself.
Yeah.
And they're all big and bad, and you know, fighting and arguing, and they would never treat someone like that in person.
Yeah. And I guess the other thing I want to...
I do that. I mean, I'm guilty of that.
And you have a lot of, excuse the French, women of the nights.
Yeah.
You know, exposing themselves, this, that, and the other.
Right.
Excuse the French, the pimp is out of business.
What's wrong with that?
The pimp is out of business.
What's wrong with that?
They've taken someone else's job out. Because the pimp was the one that was representing the women of the night. Now all of a sudden,
No,
they're
we
just,
still
no, they're just,
we still got plenty of
You
pimps.
told me you were calling a lot of them folks trying
No, I
to
wasn't.
find some folks up there.
No, there's a lot of
Huh?
pimps still out there.
What's that? What are you talking about?
There's still a lot of pimps out there,
Where?
unfortunately.
How do they?
Huh?
No, they provide the technology. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they're still out
Oh,
there.
okay. Well, I didn't know that. So I asked Don about it, and Don told me about what the deal was.
Yeah.
And so,
there's still a lot of them.
So he knows that. Don, you're quiet today. What's up? You want to say anything about Facebook?
Facebook is what you make it, you know. And it's a good
Okay.
tool for promoting yourself,
Yes.
your business, your
Yeah.
books, you know, expressing your opinion. I'm a grouchy old man, so I
Yes.
feel free
Yes.
sometimes to
Yes.
say
Yes.
stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know, to veterans, I got to say
It's
this.
social networking.
Yeah, and I got to say this to veterans too. You know, we're both in the PTSD arena.
Yeah.
It really helps when you can associate. That helps out. You know, being able to express yourself and things of that nature. Because it's really a sad situation that a lot of these folks who are having problems, especially the military. I mean, we're talking about 25 vets a day committing suicide because they're not communicating with folks.
Yeah.
And in all due respect, I'll even tell vets a lot of times. I actually have some of my friends are on there. I say, tell your story.
Yeah.
Just tell your story right on Facebook.
Yeah.
I have two Navy groups that I'm with.
Yeah.
One is called Brotherhood of the Crow,
Right.
which is about Navy and Navy
Right,
stuff.
right.
And the other one is the Cryptographic Technicians Security Group.
Yes.
Yeah. Facebook.
So I get to
groups.
talk to these old vets on
Yes.
these two different
Yeah,
groups.
which is good.
You know,
It
what's
helps.
going on in the Navy.
Yes.
What's good with it, what's
Yes.
bad with it. It's
Yes.
a way to keep
Yes.
up.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
I
so
do that with the
Facebook
Corps.
lets
You know,
me
we
keep
Can you
up
imagine a
with the
bunch of Navy? What do they talk about? How to swim? I mean, what do squids talk about? When there's no Marines around,
I didn't want to get into
they
that.
talk about
I didn't say anything. I
what
didn't say
water
that.
quality.
You know what I'm saying?
How much salt there is in the water.
That's not helping this PTSD.
I mean,
now leave 'em
what
alone.
does Navy got? I mean, that's got to be.
Is that right?
They
Oh, yeah.
talk about spy stuff. That's all.
Spy
the
stuff.
Brotherhood of the Crow. That's what they talk. And the fact that women shouldn't be captains of ships.
Well, folks, I got to get back to the show here. But at least I wanted to make sure we got that piece on about Facebook. I think
Yeah.
that's a very
Yeah.
important piece aspect of it.
It is.
Okay, let's get right into this protesting piece for the ICE thing. We know that's a national concern, but it happened in Portland too,
Right.
and we were involved here in the city
Which
of
is
Portland.
really stupid. We got so few people at that ICE station.
Yeah.
And we got all these people. Most of them don't even live in Oregon.
Okay,
Yeah.
right,
You know,
right, that's right.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
even 50 years ago, if some knuckleheads had come to Portland, Oregon, and pulled stuff like this,
Yep.
3 or 4 would be missing.
Yep.
And the rest would never come back. You know what the old guys would have done.
Yep.
People would have said, he was here, and he said he's going to come back. We're coming to Portland looking for our son. Where is he? Yeah. You know what my grandfather used to call those guys? Huh? Permanent residents. Yeah. He said, they're permanent residents. Granddad, where did they go? They're here. Where? They're around. They're like the Lord, everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's talk about. They were there. They had occupied this place for 5 days
and made that big mess.
And then the other thing is that they were on a railroad track. They cut that commute, if you will, for folks coming in there. The other thing is that they were on city property.
Yeah.
They were on Metro property.
Right.
They were on TriMet property and Lake Oswego. All of those. Now they were given permission by these entities. That's the thing.
You know why? Because we got a bunch of people we voted for that have absolutely no testosterone in their bodies.
Yes.
None of them can fight. They're scared of a fight. They'd rather blow all this money on these knuckleheads. Half of them are rich from other markets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Their parents don't want to hang out with them, so they come here and protest. You know what I'm talking about? So then we'd rather spend money on these white knuckleheads than maybe TriMet offering more free ridership for, for kids.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, and people on fixed income.
That's right. That's right.
All the money the city's spending cleaning this up. Guess
Over
what?
$1 million.
Could we be spending that on homeless people?
Over $1 million.
Could we be spending that on homeless families? Have you been to Laurelhurst at about 8 o'clock at night and seen how many people pull over there to sleep because they feel safe in that neighborhood and they know the cops patrol around there a lot? You know what? Could we spend money on that? No. We're spending $1 million to be nice to these knuckleheads who want to come to Portland, Oregon and take advantage of us and protest ICE. If you were a protester down there and left garbage down there, it should be legal to kick your ass. Yeah. It should be totally legal. Oh, I'm sorry. Kick your behind.
Cable access.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I know, but
the
still,
other thing
I got my little niece over here.
Yeah, we don't.
I noticed that it was all an out-of-town thing.
Yeah.
The cops were all federal cops.
Correct.
And when
Ted
my point is, I was down
wimped
there
out.
going to the dental school last week.
2 weeks ago.
And I stopped to ask directions because I hadn't been there before. And I asked one of those officers, and he says, "I don't know. I'm not from here."
Yeah. Yeah.
So we got law enforcement that's not from here.
Put some of those photos on the deal while Don is talking. There we go. Here we go. Thank you.
They're making bucks and per diem, and they're not from here.
Wow.
So nobody's from here.
But who gave them permission? That's where I'm coming from. It seems as though Wheeler gave permission.
Ted
and
Wheeler.
in fact, of those 5 entities that basically city properties, if you will, at the end of the day, the commitment to pay off whatever the cost was TriMet and the city of Portland.
And we could be using that money on Portlanders
this is huge.
who really need that money.
This is huge.
You know, I mean...
it was a bad idea to even lease that to property to those people because it was leased property. Whose idea was that?
Yep.
I'm sorry, you can't do that.
Wheeler should have nipped it in the bud when it started. I mean, right away.
Wheeler's going to do what he's going to do. I mean, this is what happens when we elect people who are just nice administrators. You know what I'm talking about? I mean, we got to start finding people, and I'm saying this because there's a lot of you people out there who should consider running for office that won't. And the reason and the reflection of that is look at what we got. We got a nice guy. We got, an Archie running the city of Portland. You remember Archie, the old TV show?
Archie.
We got an Archie running the city of Portland. He is a nice guy.
But he ran.
He is not going to get in the face of these people.
He did run.
And guess what? Ted Wheeler didn't even get in the face of the white supremacists that came to Portland. White supremacists aren't scared of coming to Portland. People keep telling me, well, Trump didn't get up in front and tell the white supremacists. So, well, neither did Ted Wheeler. Did Ted Wheeler tell Joey Gibson, get the hell out of my town?
Right.
We're not tolerating hate speech in public areas.
Wait a minute now. The entities that was calling the black Portland policemen were on the other side. They weren't on this other side. They were over here, and you know what I'm saying?
That just proves my point. Racist people aren't afraid
across the board.
Aren't afraid of being racist in Portland.
That's right.
You know what I mean? They're not afraid of our black leaders.
That's right.
They're not afraid of our white leaders. You understand? Because,
that's right.
gee whiz, if I, can you imagine what would happen to me if I just went out and grabbed one of those racist guys and choked him by the neck?
Yeah.
Well, the mayor could have called you. Would you? have
No,
gone
the
if
mayor
it-
would
but
call
had-
him.
But had he
Underwood.
called you?
Fred finally went off on one of these racist white folk. Throw the book at him. Underhill would say,
You mean they'd arrest
"We're
you
gonna
as
dig a
opposed to-
hole in the biggest prison in Portland and put Fred in it."
Oh my
He
God.
just went upside the head of
Gee.
some racist white person,
Gee.
and he's probably giving him PTSD.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
You know.
Okay. Well, you know,
because think about it, they were calling black cops
yeah,
racial
Yeah,
names.
That's right.
And the mayor didn't
and
order
Hispanics.
and Hispanics, and the mayor didn't order the
people were
Portland
there.
police to start arresting
And it
people.
wasn't Joey now.
Well, no,
It
it
was the
wasn't
other
Joey.
side.
But I'm just saying, the mayor, well, as soon as that, and you know, it got back to him.
Yep.
He should have said, "Start arresting people
Yep.
for harassing
Yep,
law
yep,
enforcement."
Yep,
Right,
yep, yep.
What, you know what I mean? Put him in jail for a couple of days.
I'm gonna throw a thought on the table and see what you think about it in order to prevent that kind of a situation. What if we had a process such that if a person wanted to do the protesting, they want to do the protesting, they would go in and make application for it.
Yeah, go ahead.
And in that application piece, they would basically sign up their name, this, that, and the other, basically give a
Well, that would
description.
require
how
a
many
law
days?
change.
How many days?
You'd have to change it. You'd have to
Listen
make
to what
a
I'm
law.
saying. I'm talking about common sense stuff.
No,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
against the Constitution.
You haven't even heard the rest
That's
of
when
it.
I, no.
That's against the
I
Constitution.
got the Constitution here. It doesn't say anything about
Bruce, if you
Oh,
go
boy, I
and
tell
you
you.
protest
I ain't
someplace
never heard
and you cause damage,
That's the only
you
problem
should
I have
be
with you guys.
arrested.
You guys
That
don't
way you
listen
can
to
be
the rest of them.
identified, and the government should come after you to pay for the damages.
Do what?
That's how you handle it.
That's right.
But you're the government.
No, you damage government or private property. Government should say, "We're gonna hunt you down
Yeah.
like a rabid dog."
That's what they should
and
do.
we're gonna squeeze the turnip so hard.
Yeah.
We're gonna get the money for
Well,
the
Fred,
damages you
Fred,
caused.
That's
Yeah.
where I was going. You got to have the
No, but
process.
you're talking about you want them to sign something up.
Well, how do you
No.
know who they are?
Well, the point is, our country is based
You're
on
gonna
people's
know who
right
they
to
are when
protest.
you arrest them.
Yeah, when you arrest
When
them.
you arrest them.
Who
When
are
you arrest
you?
them.
You can't. You can't do that.
Yeah, you
Yes,
can.
I can.
No, you
If
can't.
they
This
get
is a sanctuary
Come with
city.
me.
This is a sanctuary
if they-
city.
That's your
You can't do
sanctuary.
If
that.
they're not peaceful, if they're dirty, if they're a nuisance,
Yes.
you know what I mean? If they're threatening to people,
Okay,
you can
okay.
arrest them.
Okay.
If they're just protesting, being disobedient, that's one thing.
Okay.
But if they're out,
Urinating. all kinds of
urinating,
stuff.
making a
Right.
nuisance,
Yeah.
Right.
threatening people,
Prevent people from
intimidating
wanting to
people, intimidating law enforcement, you arrest them, you
Disorderly
fingerprint them, take
conduct.
their photos,
Right.
take their DNA,
And
get to
also,
know who they are.
definitely,
Disorderly
closing.
conduct cuts a wide swath. You
Yeah.
did it.
Yeah.
Well,
stopping traffic. I mean, that's really important.
Stopping
I
traffic.
mean, when
Yeah.
and that's what a lot of Occupy
I mean,
protesters do.
if they're not blocking traffic, I mean, if somebody's
But the
just
mayor
protesting-
said they had their rights.
They did.
yeah, you have
They
the
could
right
do
to
what
be
they could do what they
silent.
wanted to do.
Anything you may
What's
say
wrong
may
with
be
that,
used
Fred?
against you.
He's the mayor.
If you cannot afford an attorney,
No.
will
Fred,
be
Fred, you
assigned
get it,
to
you
you?
got it wrong. He was elected. You might not have voted for him, but he was
I
elected.
voted for Ted.
He is your mayor.
I'm not saying he's not.
So why are you
I'm
saying...
just understanding Ted's limitations.
What do you mean?
Ted's a good man.
No, you knew that
But
before
he's
you
not
voted
a
for
fight.
him.
Well, there was nobody else really to fight for. The other ones were
Why
kind
didn't
of
you run
weak
for
sauce,
office
too.
if you had some
I
other
wasn't
idea?
you know
running for
why
mayor.
he won?
Why didn't you?
You want to know why he won?
Because
What's up?
what?
He was white and he had a history in finance and he's pretty smart and that's why he won.
And he had money.
And he had money,
Well, hold
yeah.
on. Ted's a good administrator, and Ted's a smart man.
Yeah, but
okay?
you know what? He's not
but
smart enough
but
to
Ted's
know how
not
to
a
handle the
streetwise
police.
type of
Exactly,
dude.
yeah.
He is not.
Yeah.
You
Well, we got to
understand?
help this guy. So
His
what-
wife
what are you
loves
gonna-
him. She did not marry Ted because she says, when we go to the movies and
He's
the
gonna
biker gangs
Right.
are checking on my butt, I know he's
I
gonna.
know Ted Wheeler's gonna punch.
no,
punch
Ted's
somebody
not
out.
that type of guy.
He's gonna
you know
kick some
what I'm talking
ass.
about. Guys look at Ted's wife and they don't care if he notices.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about? They're like, Ted, I'm checking out your woman. They don't care. He is an administrator.
Oh, my God.
Nice
Well,
guy.
let's see. So
and,
who-
and he's in charge of 900 guys with guns, or guys and women
Ted's
with guns.
biggest weakness is he does not understand police culture. He doesn't have a background in criminal justice or police work. That's his biggest
He's
weakness.
not a streetwise type of guy.
Right.
Yeah.
And he needs to go to the
he-
people that know about it. He needs to
Well,
But then
defer.
again, when we did have a streetwise person, Sam Adams, we couldn't trust our kids around him.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You get a
Jeez,
streetwise mayor, you know what I'm talking about? And he's chasing your boys. And when I say your boys, I'm talking about your young boys.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about your old boys.
Now, folks, you got to remember.
Like if he was chasing Don, I wouldn't care.
Remember
But I would love
something.
to see the fight.
Hold on, Fred. Hold on. let's make sure we got to make a couple points here.
All right.
To the folks who
We are
understand.
making points.
We're just doing common sense stuff,
You got
folks.
your rights.
And in all due respect, because well, these folks here are very independent. You know, they will voice their opinion.
I mean, the last two balanced administrators and streetwise mayors we had
Yeah.
was Bud Clark and Vera Katz.
Yeah.
And then after that,
We
it's
had
just been a train wreck.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say, in my opinion, Ted's been the best mayor since Vera. He has. But Ted ain't going to stand up to racists. He will proclaim he will go to jail for
What about Tom Potter? Now, wait a
illegal
minute.
immigrants.
What about Tom Potter? Give me a break.
Oh, yeah, Mr. I'm going to fire a black chief because he had sex with a white woman
Right.
6 years ago. You give me a break.
Wait, what are you talking about?
6 years ago when it
I
happened.
didn't know anything about
Ted,
that.
I mean, we call
What
it,
are you talking about?
what's his nut?
Fox.
Not Fox, Foxworth.
Yeah.
Potter fires Foxworth
Yeah.
for having sex with a white woman 6 years before he became a chief of police.
That's not the way the article was reading. It was if it was current.
Well, no, it wasn't current. It wasn't current. I mean, and then he replaces him with Rosie Sizer.
Well, and the joke.
And Rosie
What
Sizer
about sexual harassment?
was dating
Right.
her husband.
So that's the whole thing. It's
Yeah.
like there's so much hypocrisy in
Yeah.
PPB. So he fires
Dan Noli.
Foxworth.
Dan Noli.
And, yeah.
She was
and-
Dan Noli's driver
mean-
Yeah.
when he was assistant chief of
yeah,
police.
Yeah.
She was a brand new cop, good looking cop, by the way. I mean, she looked good in her uniform. Rosie looked good in her
She was
uniform.
tall. I remember.
And
Slim.
Rosie somehow becomes a driver for Dan Noli. And then next thing you know, they're both getting divorced and they're both getting married.
Right.
And you're acting like, when was this courtship?
Would you
Right.
have
This whole
done,
courtship.
would you have done the same thing, Fred, Stewart?
What, with her?
Not with her.
With her?
But if you're a partner, you were a partner, what would happen then?
Well, I don't know. Rosie was pretty good looking.
I asked you, if you were a cop, would you do the same thing?
Little manish.
What, would I have fired Duckworth? If I had been mayor of Portland and gotten that report that Potter got that said that Derek Foxworth did nothing wrong, and on
Yeah.
top of that, was a stand-up guy and allowed them to investigate areas of his
knew he
life
was good.
that they didn't have. I mean, that he didn't
Okay.
have to.
That's what I was
You
talking
understand what I'm talking about? I would have gone to that woman and that attorney and said, "Bring it on."
Angela.
My
whatever her name is.
my guy didn't do anything wrong. We're standing behind him. You know how many times a black guy gets exonerated when a white woman says he's been, misconducted with her, and then here we get a guy who will rename a street after a black woman who's never been here, ignore all of the historical black folks in Oregon, and name Portland
All
Boulevard.
right, let's get
You
back to
understand?
ICE. Let's
Give me
get
a
back to
break.
ICE. Let's get back to ICE.
I'm wandering now.
No,
You
I
got
know
me
that.
all riled up.
Good, be cool, be cool.
All of these-
Let's get back to ICE aspect of it in terms of the solution
And
to
I
the
want to
problem.
talk about something later.
Yeah.
About
Okay.
a specific thing.
But again, did we finalize this, and did we give the mayor some ideas in terms of how I was trying to get in that arena?
Bruce,
but
there's
we
no
just
ideas
didn't
to give him. He's not going to do them.
Just be cool. No. My point is that if we want to look, the man is mayor of the city of Portland, and we got 4 other commissioners that are sitting there also too. They got to step up too. He's not just one person sitting up there, and also he has a chief of police that we
Bruce,
just hired.
Bruce,
Just hold on.
nobody on city
Just hold
council
up a minute.
right now has been in a fight since at least the 1970s.
Okay. Well, we're getting ready to have one.
Yeah.
What are we going to do about that one?
Huh?
We got Loretta Smith and we got Joanne Bowman, and one of them is going to be on city council. Do you think?
Well, Joanne's been in a fight in the 90s. I heard about it. I wasn't there.
Okay.
But I heard about that fight. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure Loretta is a heel taker offer. You know what I mean? I bet that woman can mix it up. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mess with either one of them.
Oh, I can beat them both up, but I wouldn't mess with them.
You give me a break. You gotta be kidding
Neither
me.
one of them
Yeah,
can kick my behind.
Okay.
They wouldn't respect me if they could.
But anyway, the bottom line is that's another issue. Let's jump on that for just a moment since we're there, because both of them, like I said, we're going to have a runoff for one of the seats
Yeah.
between Loretta and Joanne Bowman, and that's historical. That's going to be historical.
Incredible.
And this is not just kind of an appointed seat. These folks have worked hard to get
Yes,
where they are.
and another thing is Fred and I are still working on a commentary about the historical quality of the fact that, right, yeah.
And they
We're
both
working
can do
on
the
it.
job.
Yeah.
The point, everybody keeps, I get asked like every day, Fred, who are you endorsing? That's why I chose to not endorse either. You know what I mean? And I go, guys, both of these women can do the job. I mean,
Yeah.
all joking aside,
Yeah.
this is no joke. I mean, this is such a historical moment
Yeah.
for the people of Portland, but especially for the black community, because we know no matter what, it's going to be a black woman who's going to be on city council, and she's going to be elected on there and not appointed on there like Gladys McCoy and Charles Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
You understand what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
They
Oh, yeah.
earned it.
Yep, they earned
and
it.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, this moment is so incredible, and everybody, either one of these women can do the job.
Yeah.
That's another thing. I have no doubt that either one of them. Joanne could be a great city commissioner. I ain't saying they're gonna be, because time hasn't happened, but I'm saying they've got the rocks, they've got the minerals to
Yeah.
be great city commissioners.
Right.
And it comes down to who the people of Portland feels is a better fit. You understand?
Yeah.
For them.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, another commissioner won his outright, and that was Nick Fish.
Yeah, but he's white.
And
That's done a
my
lot of
point-
times.
but the point I'm making is that Nick is having his medical problems right now. I mean,
Right.
a very serious problem. And I like Nick. He's a really nice
I like
guy.
Nick, too.
That's a tough job.
No,
That
Nick-
is a tough job. And what happens if anything happens to Nick that he has to say, "Hey, look, I'm just going to have to give up the seat."
Well, let's hope that doesn't happen, because Nick
I know,
disappoints me too. But as a person,
Yep.
Nick's one of the nicest guys
Yep,
that's
yep,
been a
he-
city
he-
council in my
yep,
lifetime.
Yep.
He's a very nice guy,
Very nice guy.
very nice family.
But like I said, I'm concerned about the fact that here's a guy that really wants to spend 4 more years, and that's a grueling job, if you will. And he's got a family and whatever, and to me, after you get off of that, it's almost like retiring out of the Corps or something like that.
Yeah.
You want to have some time for yourself, time for family. You know what I mean? That bucket list that you can kind of do some things with. And that was my only concern about Nick aspect of it. I mean, I wish him everything there is, the luck in the world that
Bruce,
he can
we've
come
had-
out of this deal. But that's a tough deal when you start getting into cancer.
Bruce,
Yeah.
we've had
It's not an
several
easy deal.
people on city council in the last, let's say, 50 years
Yeah.
who have fought cancer. And I've heard from 2 of them that said the job is what helped them get through it. I mean, it's such an intense
Who you talking
job.
about?
The last one that told me was Vera Katz. I mean, Vera Katz told me
I remember
straight
that.
up,
I remember that.
straight up, that how important it was. The other one had prostate cancer, so I'm not going to talk about that person, but because they never released it publicly, But the Vera told me straight up that job helped her,
That's interesting.
deal with cancer.
That's interesting. That was a good point.
And if
point.
people who were around her back then, if you notice how she ran the city, I mean, she was almost like a what's it, Daley, Mayor Daley in Chicago.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
never knew where she was going to
Yeah.
push up. She was the boss everywhere she went. You know what I'm talking about? I mean.
Yeah.
Okay, you make your point.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to make sure I threw that out on the table and wish him all the luck, Nick. But take care of yourself, Nick. Remember, Nick, you do have a family. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you take your time. I realize that everybody reacts differently. Everybody reacts differently. We reacted differently, et cetera, et cetera. But that's a very precious job. I just want you to get healthy, and because I want you to make sure that you can give yourself some time too. So make sure you get to keep that bucket list in mind also too. After you get through with this 4 years, and give it up. Okay. With that, that's it. Now we've done that part up there. Let's talk a little bit about.
Are you going to run for his position when he gives it up?
You are.
Oh, I am. Oh, you just informed me.
Yeah,
What if I'm selling too many houses?
Well, you never have run. You've always said you're going to run. You never ran.
Well, I didn't run. Well, I ran in 2016.
When was that?
I ran in
I
2016.
didn't even see your name up there.
Oh, you didn't see my name up there?
No problem. No problem. We got the point. Good. You're going to run. He's going to run sometime. Let's talk a little bit about this whole issue about homelessness from the standpoint of what I guess it was the police union president, Daryl Turner.
Well, his
an article
Daryl
about-
Turner's commentary,
Yeah.
Portland has become a cesspool,
Yeah.
has been shared over 1,000 times.
Okay.
It was very well written, and so many people just related to it, and it really resonated with a lot of Portlanders because Portland has become a cesspool. Downtown Portland is filthy. In my whole life living here, I've never seen downtown Portland as dirty and disgusting as it is now. I mean, you drive down there and there's just newspapers floating around the streets, trash everywhere. It's ridiculous, It's
Again, whose fault is it?
well,
you go
someone's
again.
not paying the street cleaners. That's what I want to know.
I came out of a bar
This
last.
point. No, let's
I was gonna say,
stay on this point.
I came out of a bar last week, and there's this homeless guy living across the street, and just basically as a joke, right? Because the guy looks kind of scraggly there. He happened to be there. He got this bar, all these women and men coming out. So I said, look, guy, I know you're a registered sex offender. You're not supposed to be within 500 feet of this door. He goes, oh, really? Oregon doesn't let sex offenders be within 500 feet of this door? And I said, no, you got to be at least 500 feet. So he gets up and starts to move.
Well, how
Oh
do you know?
man.
So what does that tell you? What does that tell you? Cops keep saying, why do you think the cops are so frustrated? They
Yeah.
come across this stuff, and then they get all these other people who do jack. You understand? Who say, no, you don't. What you're seeing, you're not really seeing. You're just trying to criminalize being homeless.
Okay, let's get in some of these.
But I think a registered sex
let's get some
offender
of these
is a
areas.
criminal.
Let's
Yeah,
get
I think
some-
so too.
Do you think so?
Oh yeah.
Don, let's talk a little bit about this piece. What do you think about this piece?
Which one?
About Daryl's position.
Well,
in regards
Daryl's
to-
right on, and he had the guts to say so.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's
Yeah,
been
God bless him.
criticized for saying so, but my opinion, I said on Facebook, don't back down because
Well,
you're right. The
his-
city is a system.
Yeah,
And
we'll
his-
put his
his-
picture. This is Daryl. A lot of times people don't know who he is. He's president of the police union. I think we have a photo of Daryl.
Yeah,
there he
there
is,
he
right
is,
there. There's Daryl. You can always Google his name too if you deal with this kind of stuff of a smartphone, and a lot of folks don't even read the newspapers, whatever.
Yeah.
But this
Unless
is
they're
Daryl.
old pictures
That's
in
the
a
guy
blue
who.
uniform.
That's the guy
Yeah,
who.
it is.
That's the guy who's basically running the folks on the streets. I mean, he's really doing it. And the mayor had made the point that they had hired some 51. They basically arrested some 51 homeless folks.
Yeah.
Aspect of it. And in all due respect, that's his job. That's that
No,
job,
they wanted
right?
the mayor wanted to conduct an investigation to see why they were, and last year they arrested 52% of homeless people. in
That
the
shows you
downtown.
just how unstreetwise
And
he
Daryl
is.
Turner's Daryl Turner's claim, and it's accurate, was Ted Wheeler threw the Portland Police Bureau under the bus. That's what he said, and he did.
But he asked the
you know?
question. He also asked the question, "Where's the money?" Because a
Yeah,
lot of money is
yeah.
supposed to be directed to
Exactly.
the homeless problem.
So who's
And the
taking all this money?
And the only thing, well,
Yeah.
guess what? Builders, high-rise builders. Fred, that's your real estate aspect of it. A lot of that money is going in there and basically making. We need homes for, if you will, for the homeless. Are
Right.
they getting the homes?
No, and then there
The
were.
other issue that with regard to the homeless is that these traveling homeless that are from out of state need to leave because, like Fred said, a lot of these guys are sex offenders, they're drug runners, they're addicts,
Right.
they're absolute predators. They're not Portland residents. They didn't grow up here, they haven't lived here for very long. Those people need to be, rounded up and given a bus ticket out of town.
I got you. Well, tell you what, on that particular note, we're going to take a short break. If you guys, let's see if we can take a break here. We're going to take a short break. We'll come right back on, and we'll follow up again a little bit more on the homeless problem, because it's still a major issue.
You are watching Oregon Voters Digest. This program can be seen again on these channels on these dates and times. Tell a friend.
Welcome back, folks, to Oregon Voters Digest. I'm Bruce Broussard, your host, and I got the gang of three, or the gang of four, if you will. And in all due respect, we're just trying to share with you some of the issues that have been around for this past week, and what we felt we should highlight and share with you. And hopefully, it'll also be sort of an educational, informational format to both the City Council and to Multnomah County, because we're talking about the same, because they are the jailers. And when you start thinking about the homeless situation, the Portland police picks them up, and they take him over to the county, and then we got a former Portland chief, and the Sheriff Reese. He's the new sheriff. He was just reelected. Well, he was just elected.
No, he was just elected.
He was
Yeah.
appointed. He was appointed by Multnomah County, and now he is. But anyway, he is the jailer. Okay, and as you know, when you start thinking about this discussion with Daryl, and what he makes the point about the homeless, and he doesn't blame the homeless. He said, "Look here, they don't have the monies because of all of the things that they need, whether it be mental illness or whatever, they need that support aspect of it." But he also brought the issue up of Wapato. The same issue of Wapato, from the standpoint there was a facility there that he said we could have used that. He brought that up in his solution to that particular problem. And as you know, I'm throwing this on the table aspect of it. We still don't know exactly what's happening now. Initially, it was some folks had bought it, and then all of a sudden Clark County from Vancouver was interested in it because they were having the same problem. And all of a sudden they said, well, okay, fine, we're looking at maybe leasing the whole damn deal.
Can I tell you something I heard
Talk
about
to me.
Wapato? There's a couple people that, a couple young people in their late 20s that are thinking about doing a documentary about it.
Oh, really?
About the travesty of justice that surrounds the whole Wapato situation, the millions of dollars wasted, the people that have not been helped because they want to draw attention to it. It's an embarrassment for Portland.
Well, you see, the problem with Wapato is still, like I tell everybody, no matter how you slice it, if we use it for homeless, and I'm not saying that isn't a bad idea, but we don't have a plan for it to be eventually a mental hospital.
Right.
And that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Eventually, Wapato is going to be a mental, and I'm not saying we shouldn't do that, but the problem is nobody's talking about that.
Yeah.
Because right now, the state of Oregon is just heartless in this area and how we're treating people with mental illness.
Yeah.
We're literally putting them on the street and
Totally.
waiting for them to die
Totally.
or get murdered. We don't
Exactly.
care if they get raped and
Exactly.
exploited in any way. You understand? Because you know why we don't care? We don't allow the cops to engage with them to protect them from the people who will prey upon them.
Right.
Because we got these other idiot activists who say, well, if the police are engaging them all the time, they're going to be treating them like criminals for being homeless. Well, you know what? The police have got to engage to make sure that the criminals feel intimidated. Right now, criminals aren't afraid of coming to Portland. They're not afraid of Ted Wheeler. They're not afraid of the Portland police. You know what I'm talking about? They don't respect the law. They are a bunch of cretins. Now, not all homeless
So what do
people.
we do,
I'm talking about
Fred?
the criminal.
What do we do?
The travelers.
The travelers.
Yeah.
People are going to have to start telling their city commissioners, I mean, boldly, loudly, especially this next election, solve this homeless problem.
But what about right now?
No, I'm talking about right now.
Okay,
Start,
so-
you know, and if you don't solve it, the next time you decide to run for office, I ain't voting for you.
Right.
I'm voting for the person that says they are going to make this place safe.
Yeah.
You cannot have people living in the streets and have a safe city.
I think
They're not compatible.
Another problem with Portland is such a liberal activist town. I'm a Democrat, you know, I'm not a Republican, but I also understand that there's so many people in Portland, administrators, City Hall, they're afraid to get tough on crime. Unfortunately, right now we need people and the Portland Police Bureau to get tough on crime. That sounds like such a Republican ideology, but it's necessary now because downtown is out of control, the crime is out of control, the homeless are everywhere, and these are, like Fred said, they're sex offenders, they're preying on teenage girls, teenage boys, children. You know, it has to stop.
And like I said, we've got some activists that have just gone a bridge too far. And we got to be comfortable telling them to shut the hell up. And we need Rod Underhill to say no Measure 11 charges for 6 months.
You talking about the DA? You talking about the DA?
Yeah, I mean, gee whiz, there are just some people, they just need to get this shut up. You know, every time I hear one of these activists say, you can't treat homeless people like criminals. We know what you're telling the criminals who are homeless.
Oh.
Right.
You understand?
Do whatever you
Do
want.
whatever you want.
Yeah.
Of course, none of us here in Portland that are reasonable feel that just because you're homeless, you're automatically a criminal.
Right.
I mean, just go and drive around Lowhurst Park in about 3 hours and look at the families and the couples and the people who are going to be trying to get some sleep, find their spot to park and get some sleep so they can get up and go to work tomorrow. You understand? Of course, not everybody who's homeless is a criminal, but we've got a criminal element in that group.
But Fred, you got to forget though, but the Metro elected officials and the City of Portland officials, they should know that.
They know that, but they're worried about these darn activists. That's what I'm trying to say. We got so many people who aren't street smart. I mean, Ted Wheeler should grab a couple of these activists like Jesse Spomberg and say, Jesse, the next time I hear you talk about treating homeless people like criminals, I'm going to kick your ass.
Hey, man.
Pick your booty. We need these distraction stuff to go
I'm
away.
not sure for that.
I'm sorry.
How about Joey Gibson? We can add him in there.
Yeah,
He's
Joey
the
Gibson
worst.
too. I mean,
He's
that's
the
that's on
worst.
racism.
Yeah.
Same thing with Joey Gibson.
Yeah.
You know, Joey, I got up 900 cops here. You come down here spouting off with
And-
your, with your white supremacist friends, with your guns and stuff like that. We're gonna deal with you, and we're gonna make national news. But guess what? Some of you won't see it because you'll either be in jail or you'll be in the morgue.
And the latest Joey Gibson news is he got drunk,
Yeah, I saw
surprise,
that. I saw
surprise,
that. Yeah.
in Vancouver and got his butt kicked out of a tavern, and now he was trying to turn all of his followers on the tavern and
Facebook bullying.
yeah.
Why is the guy running for Senate?
He doesn't
Getting
stand
drunk.
a chance.
I understand, but just
running.
But
I
just,
know, I
just the
know.
decorum of everything.
Yeah.
You understand?
Because he doesn't have a clue.
I mean, you're running for Senate. You're going to go into a bar and get drunk, like a thug,
And threaten the bartender who happened to be a woman. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was. I
as
read
if
about
as
it.
if he's going to touch a woman.
Right.
You understand? I mean,
Right.
can you imagine a
let's get-
U.S. senator who's
Right.
on record for
Right.
beating up a woman?
Right.
Yeah, like you're really going to vote for that guy?
I tell you what,
Right.
I'm gonna bring Don in. Well, Don, you were on the beat, Portland police, this, that, and the other, back in those days and whatever. Did this happen during that particular time?
No,
Nope.
Why didn't it happen?
because the laws were different.
Okay, what?
Well, they were enforced
let-
differently.
let-
Well,
let me
and
talk.
they were enforced.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, loitering was against the law. You couldn't stand on a corner, go to the jail. Being out after 3 o'clock in the morning without my permission, officer's permission, and doing a good thing to jail. Adultery was a felony if you were messing with somebody else's wife.
That's half the
3
police
years in the
force.
penitentiary.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
When I came on, adultery was a 3-year felony.
But what if the husband
Lewd
didn't care?
cohabitation.
But let me
Lewd
get through, let me talk.
cohabitation
Hold
was
on,
a
talk.
city ordinance.
Lewd cohabitation was if a man and woman were living
can't-
together and they weren't married.
You couldn't live together and not be married.
What if it was more than one woman?
Same thing. That's even
So a
lewder.
guy would get in trouble if he had two women?
Fred, excuse me. Let
We
me
had-
get through. Let
we
me get
had-
to this point. Then I want you to come
So
in.
these are the 4 of the laws that we used.
Okay.
You didn't see people begging on the street because begging was against the law.
Yeah.
So, do you want to go back to that? Maybe that's
Not
the
all of
only
that.
solution. That's the solution of
Yeah.
the problem.
Not
is to
all of
go
that.
back to it. Well, most of it.
Yeah.
No, you don't want to go back to all. You don't want to go back to most of it, but some of it.
I want to go
Some
back
of
to
it.
most of it because in order to get the people begging off the street, you got to get them off the street. Mm-hmm. And if they don't have a place to go, you're going to give them a place to go. It's a jailhouse.
Yeah.
So, is it cruel? Maybe it is cruel. Maybe
Well,
it's not. If
but-
they got a place to sleep, they got food.
Yeah.
They're going to be out of your hair.
Yeah. The issue, though, is that it's not just Portland; it's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's in Japan, it's in China, it's in California, it's everywhere.
Don't care about those issues.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
can solve it here. We need a YMCA.
Yeah.
For some reason, the old YMCA's are gone.
I know.
The city should be planning on bringing something like that back, or the county. The county can do it. Wapato may be a solution, but the only problem I got with Wapato is, like I said, nobody is accepting what the eventuality is going to be. Eventually, it's going to be a mental hospital, at least a facet of it.
fine.
Because we've got people who are so mentally ill on our streets right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is immoral
It is.
to get them off the
is.
street and then
Yeah.
turn around and throw them back.
Right.
No, and that's why I tell people it's not that I'm against Wapato. I'm against what people think Wapato is going to be, because that's not what it's.
Yeah.
It should be looked at as, hey, it's eventually going to be partly a mental hospital. Because some of these mental people who are in distress, they're always going to be in distress. They'll never be able to take care of themselves. That's just a fact.
Yeah.
And right now, what we're doing is killing them harshly. And when I say killing them harshly, we are literally leaving them to the elements of the world for anything to happen. So we've got people like Ted Wheeler and stuff who will say, hey, the immigrant population, the illegal immigrant people are breaking the law to come to this country, I'll go to jail for you. I'm going to make sure I'm going to defend you.
Right.
But what about that Portland person, that Oregon person, born right
Senior
here?
citizen.
Okay? Well, not just with them, but I'm talking about the mentally ill. But they're mentally ill.
Oh yeah, you're talking about. Yeah,
You understand?
Well, I think the bottom line is Ted Wheeler doesn't care. He doesn't care about
Will
poor
he
people.
go to jail? How far will he go
Not very
to
far.
protect the mentally ill that are on our streets,
Not
that
very
are being
far.
victimized by everybody under the
Right.
sun?
But why wasn't this shared with him by some of the elders, if you will? I think I did a little bit. when he was running for office.
A lot of people shared it.
I
was running the same time he was running.
But what about the press, the media? Should they have not investigated that situation?
That's the biggest problem we got in Portland. We got the suckiest journalism community. They don't talk about stuff like this. They're a bunch of arrogant, racist bastards. Not all of them are racist. I'm sorry. Not all of them are racist, but quite a few of them are.
Another issue that's really happening in Portland, and I really see it happening more and more, is the separation between the rich and the poor. The divide gets wider every day. The elitism in Portland grows every day. When 75% of the housing that's being built is for high income people. When all they do is talk. Ted Wheeler, all he does is talk. He had an article 3 weeks ago, a month ago, 50 new units. Oh boy,
and they're
50
expensive.
New units.
They're
right.
The average developer right now certainly is building units, apartment buildings for under $200 a foot, right around $200 a foot. These things are coming in almost $400 a foot. These 50 units. $400 a foot.
So when you've got low income,
well, the cost of developing the project. Say you're building a 100-unit project, and each unit's 1,000 square feet. So the end cost for a developer these days is about $100 to $150 a foot, but it's because of factors of labor and cost of materials, it's been closer to $200 a foot. So 1,000 square feet costs $200,000 to build. Okay, the city is building that same space for about $400 a foot.
Wow.
You understand?
So in other words, you got low-income people that are getting $750 a month. How are they going to afford $1,000
What's that
rent?
going to rent for?
Or $1,200?
Well, the city can take a discount. The city does not need to, as much as it wants. The city doesn't have to make a profit. They just have to make enough money to service the, maybe the debt. They don't have to worry about paying taxes, but they have to service the building, make sure it's clean and everything.
This is why you need to run and win,
and you see,
Fred,
but
because
the
you understand
issue is,
all this.
But the issue is when you spend double or triple sometimes more than you need to develop a site. You understand? You are limiting how many units you can build. You understand, and thus increasing automatically the discount of what you're going to be charging. Sure. You understand? So it's horrible that and look, I'm not expecting government to be exactly like the private sector, but I do feel that in some developments the city could work in partnership with the private sector, and even if the city has to go it alone and develop something themselves, maybe an extra $100. But the goal should be the most efficient use of these proceeds, these public proceeds, so they can create the most amount of housing. Because friends, we need not just single family, apartment buildings and stuff. We need some single family homes being built. Yeah. Because right now, if you are trying to rent a single family home in Portland, it's going to take you forever to find one. Yeah. And then when you do find one, hold your breath.
You can't pick up the tab.
Hold your breath. I mean, I got one that just went in my neighborhood for $3,500 a month. Okay, it's just a 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
That.
And at $3,500 a month, it was first and last month's rent and a $3,500 security deposit. So we're talking about over 10 grand.
Right.
You know what that is? That's almost what it would take to buy a $300,000 home on FHA.
Yeah.
Well,
now remember.
So this is exactly why you have to run for office and win, because you know all these things, you understand all these things, and people like Ted Wheeler, he just doesn't seem to get it.
Yeah, but my point, but you got to get out there. I mean, that's the only problem. You got to get out there, and it's like right now, for that matter, he won't call Fred. I've been in housing too. He hasn't called me. I ran.
Well, he doesn't care. He doesn't care about people like us.
When I ran for office, when I ran for mayor, I even tried to get to talk to the guy beforehand, and he's never returned the call.
Now, let's also remind people that you interviewed Ted Wheeler.
Oh, yeah.
Way back when he was a nobody.
I saw he was
right, he was more than happy to come on Oregon Voter
the very
Digest.
first time I met Ted, he was running against a girl I went to high school with, Diane Lynn. The very first, within 30 minutes of meeting Ted, that's what you're talking within 30 minutes, I gave him a $250 check for his campaign. Yeah, the very first time I met Ted, he impressed me so much.
And he was here on Oregon Voter Digest, and now he can't return anybody's calls.
Oh, I haven't called Ted in a long time, and every time I will say, every time I've called Ted, he's called back. I haven't called Ted Wheeler, but I haven't called Ted in a long time.
Wait a minute, I'm missing something here.
Yeah.
You call him and he answers your phone.
Well, he's called back.
But you talk with him?
Yeah, the last time I
Well,
called
why
him.
don't you share with him what you just shared with you on the show? I'm just saying, he needs some help.
Yeah.
Well,
He needs some help.
Well,
and
I've emailed Ted 2 or 3 times and he never emailed me back.
if Ted knows where I'm at, if
We
he
have-
wants my help, and I'm allowed, he's on my Facebook. He probably reads a lot of what I post.
We
Well,
have
he sees the show.
Yeah, he sees the show.
But my point is that he given that introduction. We're giving him the introduction now,
Yeah.
for that matter. Because in all due respect, we have we're still there. We've got the City of Roses.
Mm-hmm.
But if we don't take care of and water those plants for a minute, we won't have anything.
Yeah,
We'll
but
be
have-
another New York kind of a situation.
we have 10 minutes left, and I have to
Oh,
say,
that's right.
I wanted to mention the murder in Oakland, California of Nia Wilson.
In Oakland, California.
Yes, she was a beautiful black girl, and she was murdered by a white man
And-
who was a racist
and
about
her
2 days
sister
ago.
was stabbed about 3 days ago.
Right, 3 days ago, and yeah.
Last Friday. I'm sorry, last Friday. So
Now, why are we bringing this up?
I'm bringing it up.
He's a
because
proud boy.
He's a proud boy. Because I want to remind people that the incidents of violent racist attacks like this are going up, have gone up, I think 30% since Trump has been in office.
Mm-hmm.
I was really overwhelmed when I saw this story because she's beautiful and 18 years old, getting off a train, just changing trains, and she was stabbed to death by a white supremacist, racist Proud Boy, and it just
Now,
broke
Teresa,
my heart.
Don, I got a question I got to ask you. You've got granddaughters that are black.
Yeah.
You're white, right? How does it feel about the world your grandchildren, your family, your blood is going out into? You understand what I'm talking about? I mean,
Sure.
you understand? I mean, a lot of white people,
Scary.
when they hear things like what you're
Yeah.
talking about happening, they look at their kid, oh, my kid's white. You know what I mean?
Right.
But you as a white person, how does it affect you? Because you've got some beautiful
Well,
black children coming
Yeah,
up here.
and just as also for me as a mother, I mean, I look at this girl, she's 18 years old, she's gorgeous, and I watched the news show, and her cousin was crying, and just the heartache. I mean, it's so horrible that people can be so ignorant and so unfeeling and have no empathy and just I don't get it. I don't
What were
get
the
it.
circumstances, Terry? What were the circumstances?
She was just getting off a train, and
Her,
they
her
don't
and her
know.
sister were getting off, I think, the BART.
There was
Yeah.
there was no altercation. It was just this weird, unprovoked
Yep.
attack. The police don't even know why he did it, but he did it because he was a white racist.
Yeah, he's a proud boy. He will tell them that. He's told me he's a proud boy. He's said some things that lead them to believe he has opinions.
And this is important because
About black people.
unfortunately,
but he
this
hasn't told them why he did what he did.
this is another instance of a white person doing something horrible to a person of color, and it's just going to create more division between white and black people. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to look at this beautiful girl and know that her family is devastated and she's gone. It's terrible, you know. And I just wanted to say that her name was Nia Wilson, and it's just terrible.
Well, it's
Craig,
fair.
you asked the question, for every parent asks the same question. Do I want to bring a child into this world? Your parents probably said the same thing. I'm sure you said the same thing. I know I said the same thing when I had her father, when I was 45 years old. Do I want to bring a child into this world, the way this world is? But you know what? Trump's is your biological instinct. It's called what do they call it?
Biological clock.
Yeah, your biological clock. And men have it too, as much as women do. And if you don't have a baby at the time you're 30 or 40, your body starts saying, hey, what are we going to do about this? And so I had a son at 45 years old. I've never been sorry for it. And I have this wonderful grandchild because of it.
Yeah.
So she has this world to live in. I can hope for the best. I can defend her as good as I can. But it's a different world.
Well, let's think about another thing. Throw it on the table. What happened to deterrence?
Deterrence?
The word deterrent. I mean, normally you
can't deter racist white people.
No. But I'm just saying, at some point in time, you get to a point where, the deterrent is out there. Say, look, if I kill this person,
The
I'm gonna
deterrent,
get
what is the
electrocuted.
deterrent? I'll tell you
Well,
what
I'm
the
gonna get
deterrent is.
electrocuted.
The
We don't do that
deterrent
anymore.
is you have to get to know other people that are different from you. If you're white, get to know some black people. If you're black, get to know some white people.
Absolutely.
And embrace them on, like you always say, on an individual basis.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I get
Absolutely.
criticized a lot, but I got a dog in a fight. They can go to hell.
Well, just think about it. You married a black woman
Yeah.
In the 70s?
in the 80s.
In the 80s?
Yeah.
Don had
Jeez.
crosses burned on his lawn. Don's front porch was egged. Don had people leave nasty notes on his doorstep. Don experienced the kind of racism in the 80s
But you had
that
support
didn't
with the
make
police,
it didn't make the news.
You had support with police and some of you.
He was
I
retired.
wasn't, I wasn't a policeman.
Weren't
I was
police at the
working
time.
for the Benson Hotel.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah. But they had a house in Northeast Portland, and they were both just vilified, both of them, because they were an interracial couple.
Yeah, the only way to stop a racist white person, the safest way is for white people to notice and say something.
Yeah.
That's the safest way. But with black people, we got so few options. And all of the options we got aren't very effective.
Yeah.
You know, like I've said before, the most secure option we got is just to shoot a racist. But that is not necessarily the most efficient way to live in a free
Right.
society.
Yeah.
You understand? Especially when there's so many to deal with.
One thing I've noticed about people.
satisfying,
One
though.
thing I've noticed.
It is
about-
satisfying, but
about
it's not very
people-
efficient.
One thing I've noticed about white and black people when they evolve,
Yeah.
when they become enlightened, is when they get to know a person
Exactly.
of color, a white person, they get to know them, they become friends, they care about them, and that's the bottom line. Is when you do that, you develop empathy.
Well, white people have got to stop being afraid to get involved because, like I've said on Facebook, where a black guy would need a gun or a bat to resolve a situation, there are sometimes all a white person has to say is, "I noticed."
Right.
You understand?
Right.
I noticed what you did, and it was wrong.
Right.
And that moment
put it
right
up.
there,
Stepping in.
stepping in.
Right.
We're not even
Yeah.
talking about.
Here you go, right here. That's the news room.
It being a big
That's what we're
conflict.
talking about.
Yeah.
The young lady right
that's
there.
her,
2 lives
yeah.
taken separate paths, clash on Bart Plant Farm,
Yeah.
ending in a death.
Yeah.
Wrong place at the wrong time. It's just,
But I have seen a old white woman
This could have happened here in Portland.
Absolutely.
confront 3 big old racist white dudes and just say, "You know you're wrong," and stopped it. You know what I'm talking about? It stopped right there. I mean, from her just saying, "I noticed," and moving on.
Right.
You understand? Whereas the black person in this do or die situation,
Right.
You understand? And I go, that's why I tell my white friends, you don't understand how powerful it is and how important it is
Yeah.
that you say something.
Right.
Yeah. Well, last minute. Hey, I got one guy to recognize. Remember Ron Webb?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ron passed away.
Whoa.
He passed away. Yep, he passed away. Ron Webb, May 20th, 1938 was born, and he died July 6, 2018.
Whoa.
Okay, and services are pending, but Ron Webb, you know, he was at Channel 6,
Yep.
and he was very active in the community and this, that, and the
Yeah.
other, and really a neat guy. In fact, I saw him at Metro, at Multnomah County, probably about 3 months ago.
Wow.
Just that way. I mean, all of a sudden you're gone. And Latrell Brown? Remember John Brown's brother? Anyway, he's basically reaching out for vets also too, but he's passed away. It just happened to him, and I saw him about a month ago. It was just some tough times.
Yeah, this has been a horrible year for me.
Okay, good.
So many of my friends
Okay.
have
Well,
passed
look,
on.
we're at this point now. This has been great, been really great. Hopefully the viewing audience has had the opportunity to get a little bit more enlightened about what's going on around them. You got to be a little bit more involved, especially this next time you vote. Make sure you get out there and vote and ask those questions. Ask those questions. Very, very important. If we're going to come back to the City of Roses, right? Why don't you close? Come on in. Come on over here. We're going to let her close real quick. We got about 20 seconds. Why don't you just say thanks for joining us at the Oregon Voters Digest. Say that.
Thanks for joining us at the Oregon
Voter Digest.
Voter Digest.
Please get back to us next week. We'll be here.
Please get back to us next week. We'll be here.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, folks.
Good job.
Have a good one.
That's pretty cool.